My name is Brandon Jones, and I got a problem. After a horrible senior season of high school football and poor grades in the classroom, I lost my scholarship offer to the University of Kentucky. Not only that, but I just found out I got a baby on the way. Now, instead of the big stadiums and the screaming crowds, I'm headed to a junior college. My goal is to earn a scholarship offer to a Division I school and eventually get an NIL deal that'll allow me to provide for my family. But first, I must play at least one full season of Juko football while maintaining at least a 2.3 GPA. I was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, in a small neighborhood called Smoketown. Since the Civil War, it's been a historically black neighborhood, and it's still pretty much like that today. When my grandparents died, they left their house to my Aunt Donna and my Uncle D. Well, when Uncle D went to prison, my mom and I moved in with my aunt and all my cousins. Staying in the house with that many people made it easy to get lost in the shuffle. If you didn't speak up, you got overlooked. I had to fight for just about everything. I started playing organized football in the 7th grade, and it was immediately clear to everybody that I was going to be special. Although I was undersized compared to most of the other kids, I had crazy speed, so I was extremely hard to catch. I quickly fell in love with the game, but probably not for the reason you may think. Yeah, football was fun, but all the attention that came with it was even better. See, I know for a fact, I suffered from only child syndrome growing up. If all the attention and focus wasn't on me, I would tend to act out or slip into a dark depression. I stayed locked away in my room, sometimes for days. Then when my family would start to become concerned to give me the attention I was craving, I would pop back out. Well, I can honestly say that narcissistic, attention-seeking behavior is one of the main reasons I'm in the position I'm in today. I built up quite the buzz playing Pop Warner, so when it was time for high school football, I knew the expectations would be high. I spent that entire summer before school started working on my game. Me and my homie Nasir would probably get to the field at like 10 a.m. and we wouldn't leave until damn near midnight. I knew the coaches would probably say that I was way too small to be playing running back, so I had officially made up my mind that I was now a slot receiver. Going into my freshman year, I was terrified because I didn't know what to expect. I swear, high school is like a world of its own. No, I mean like seriously. You got the rich kids and the poor, you got the weirdos and the junkies, the jocks and the gangbangers, the essays, the Asians. Look, I didn't know where I was gonna fit in. I was just hoping I didn't get my ass whooped. For the first week or so of my freshman year, I just stayed to myself because I really didn't know anybody. I mean, of course, I had a few friends there from middle school, but other than that, I was basically a loner. But when the football season started, I made sure everybody knew my name. Now, since I was still a freshman, I had to pay my dues. I got the ugly helmet and the huge shoulder pads. I wanted a single digit number, but I got 81. You know how it is when you're a freshman, but after just 2 games, everything changed. I got moved up to varsity and never looked back. I started off on kick returns, then I started getting a few reps at receiver. Before I knew it, I was not only the starting receiver, but I was a key piece to our offense. Over the course of the next 3 years, I completely dominated high school football, racking up awards left and right. 2-time second team All-American. I got selected as a first team All-American my junior year. Scouts from all over were attending my games and I was getting letters to the house every day. I mean, everything was going great. Well, that was until my 17th birthday. I remember like it was yesterday. My mom and my aunt put their tax returns together to surprise me with a car for my birthday. It was a 2015 Chevy Malibu. It was only about $6,500 and it had a few problems, but man, I love that thing. See, having a car in high school instantly makes you 10 times more popular. Not only that, but I was already a local star because of my achievements on the football field. So those two things combined basically made me a legend. Up until that point, I was a focused and disciplined student athlete, but it's like as soon as I got those keys in my hand, everything started going downhill. I was never at home anymore. I was always in traffic. I was never at school anymore. I was always skipping class with some random girl that I hardly even knew. My grades had dropped extremely low and I was in danger of becoming academically ineligible. My football coach knew this wasn't like me and he was concerned, so on a random Wednesday afternoon, he pulled up to my crib.
So go ahead and talk to me, Brandon. Man, what's going on?
I mean, I don't know, coach. I just been chilling. I don't even know why everybody's so concerned.
We're concerned because we all want what's best for you. I mean, you worked your ass off to get to this point, and now you just want to chill. That don't even make no sense.
Come on now, coach. You know me. When it's time for the season to start, I'll be more than prepared.
Football is the least of my concerns. The last thing I would want you to do is slack off in the classroom and end up losing your scholarship you worked so hard to get. Or even worse, get careless out here and end up with a baby. You've got a real opportunity to make it out here. And I would hate to see you blow it.
I knew everything coach said to me was right. I laid in my bed that night wide awake. I couldn't sleep because I felt guilty. I knew I had been slacking and taking my talents for granted, and if something didn't change, I could potentially lose everything. I'm sure you've heard the saying, a hard head makes a soft ass, right? Well, I never knew what that meant until I found myself in the exact situation my coach had just warned me about. After that conversation we had, I got back focused for about a week or so, but then I was right back to my old ways. Before I knew it, I found myself academically ineligible to play football, and I got the news I had a baby on the way. My senior year was a disaster. I only got to play in the last 3 games of the season, and as expected, I didn't do well at all. Once Kentucky got word of my academic suspension, they snatched my scholarship offer away faster than they gave it to me. Knowing I'd be a father soon, I wanted to make sure I was in a good place financially, so I picked up a little part-time job at Wingstop in the evenings after school. I ain't gonna lie, it was a little bit embarrassing at first, but I was doing what I had to do. At this point, I had completely given up on the thought of playing football anymore, to be honest. Depression had set in, I started to gain weight from all those damn wings and work. I was just down bad. Well, my boy Nasir swung by the crib a few weeks after graduation. He was getting ready to leave for Texas A&M. My dog got a full ride scholarship. Just seeing how excited bro was made me happy because we literally used to sit and talk about this. After Nasir left the crib that day, I walked up to the field that we used to train at. Man, I sat there for hours, just reflecting, really just thinking about how my life decisions got me to this point. I put way too much time and effort into the game just to walk away. Not only just me, but my mom, my aunt, my coach. I mean, everybody invested in me in some type of way. Plus, with me having a child coming into the world, I owe it to him to make something of myself. It was at that moment that I decided to give football another shot. I tried reaching out to several D1 colleges, but all of them seemed to lose interest once they found out my story. The last thing these coaches want is an undisciplined player that they can't depend on, and I get that. Well, after repeatedly getting denied, my mom offered up an idea that I didn't really like at first, but after thinking about it, man, it started to make sense. She suggested that I go to a junior college for 1 year. She said it'll give me a chance to prove that I can maintain good grades and also show off my skill against players a little bit older and more experienced than me. Well, after weighing out all my options, I decided to commit to Independence Community College. They're about 9 hours away in Independence, Kansas. You probably remember them from season 3 of Last Chance U. Well, I hear they got a pretty decent team this year, and it looks like they got some nice facilities as well, so we gonna see. So tomorrow, I'll be jumping on a Greyhound headed to Kansas to start school. I decided to leave my car here with Bree so she'll be able to make it to and from her doctor's appointments. Honestly, I hate I'm not gonna be able to go with her, but at this point, it just kinda is what it is. My mom and my aunt agreed to help her out if she ever needs anything. This is really gonna be my first time being away from home and I won't know anybody. But I'm treating this like a business trip. Yeah, I'm not going to have fun. I just wanna lock in and do my job and then come back home in a few months with the D1 scholarship offer. Coming into camp, the coaches had me rated as an 85 overall, which honestly wasn't too bad. But I noticed they had me listed as the 3rd string receiver on the depth chart. Now, that's where I had a problem because I knew damn well there wasn't 2 other receivers better than me on this roster. So I made it my personal goal to move up to at least the number 2 position by the time the season started. Early on in camp, things were a bit tough. I realized there was a major skill difference between the guys I was used to playing against in high school. Not only skill, but there was also a huge strength difference as well. I was dropping quite a few passes, my routes were sloppy, and honestly, I was just being outplayed, but of course that didn't last very long. See, the one thing I have that can't be taught is speed. Once I realized that the DBs couldn't keep up with me, I started having my way. I think it was about midway through camp that the coaches started to take notice of all my improvements, and before I knew it, I had moved up to the 2nd string slot. Not only was I putting in work on a football field, but I had also joined the track team as well. Of course, I didn't have any real intentions of actually competing in a track meet, but I figured if I could sharpen up my running form, it would increase my speed. Juko college is actually pretty boring. If I wasn't at football practice or somewhere on the track, I was in the classroom learning or in the library studying, or probably in my dorm room sleep. It honestly felt like a boot camp, but I low-key kind of liked it. The national junior college rankings got released, and I saw that 2 of our opponents were ranked inside of the top 10, Dodge City Community College and Hutchinson. Now this was great because I knew all the scouts would be watching these 2 games, which only meant that that was another opportunity for me to shine. Not only that, but Hutchinson was the favorite to win the Juko championship this year. So if I was able to have a great game versus them, I could really put my name on the map. After my freshman season at Independence Community College in Kansas, I returned back home to Kentucky. As soon as I got there, Bree brought my son over to the crib. Now this was only my 2nd time seeing him in person, The school allowed me to fly in when he was born so I could see him get delivered, but other than that, I've only seen him through FaceTime. Bree and I stepped outside to have a much needed conversation. Remember, we weren't dating when we found out she was pregnant. Nah, we was just cool, just really vibing together. But now that we have a child, we needed to figure out exactly where we stood. So we just agreed to do the co-parenting thing. No relationship, no feelings, just raising our son together. But look, since Bree had him while I was at school playing football, now that the season was over and I was back at home taking online classes, I offered to take him so she could focus and finish her classes. I was officially a full-time dad. That summer, my boy Nasir had came back from Texas A&M, so we started training together in my aunt's backyard. He was really giving me all the game of what I should expect on the next level and how crazy the college lifestyle is. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for him in Texas, so he decided to jump into the transfer portal. He'll be playing in Northern Illinois next season. He asked me where I had planned on playing, and honestly, I didn't even know.
So bro, talk to me. Have you decided what school you gonna commit to yet? I know you missed the big time now. You can play wherever you want and shit.
Nah, bro, I'm still weighing out all my options, but to be honest with you, I'm going wherever they offering the biggest bag. I got a son now, so my main concern is really making sure he's straight.
Well, hey man, don't sleep on NIU. We not the biggest program out there, but it's looking like we finna have a pretty solid squad next season.
Damn, bro, they got you out here recruiting, huh? That's crazy.
Man, hell nah, bro. I'm just saying, us both on the same team would be crazy. We'd be unstoppable for real, just like in high school.
I was ranked as the #1 junior college recruit in the nation after my one season of independence. They had me listed as a 4-star player with the NIL evaluation of just over $350,000. I got offers from just about every school in the nation, but just like I told Nasir, I was chasing that bag. Not only that, but I wanted to make sure I had instant playing time. Yeah, I wasn't trying to spend half the year sitting on the bench. But after really weighing out all my options, I decided to commit to USC. Now, I'll be honest, I never saw myself playing on the West Coast, but they gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. I'm sure y'all remember that Instagram post from former SC quarterback Caleb Williams-Loft. Remember the one that went viral? Well, I thought that maybe the media was just making something out of nothing. I figured there was no way he was living like that in college, but bro, I was wrong. USC blessed me with a nice loft as well. I mean, it's actually an apartment and it's definitely not as big as Caleb's was, but hey, it's way better than having to stay in them dorms. Y'all gotta remember, I'm coming from my aunt's crib, a 3-bedroom house with like 12 people living in it. So when I found out this is where they was gonna have me staying, coming here was a no-brainer. My first NIL deal came from this barbershop in downtown LA. Literally all I had to do was show up, take a few pictures, and get a haircut. I mean, it was the easiest money I ever made in my life. But look, I went home that evening and really started researching on how to capitalize off my brand. I realized the more popular I was, the more attention I got. And with more attention came more money. It was at that exact moment that I decided to become a superstar. So the first step to becoming a superstar is your image. I know some people would probably say work ethic and determination, and don't get me wrong, all that's a part of it, but to me, your image is most important. So I went shopping. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Givenchy, Dior, Versace, you name it, I got it. Now next, I needed a car, but it couldn't just be any car. Yeah, I needed something that was gonna stand out and turn heads. So first, I was gonna get that new 2024 Scat Pack. But then after giving it some thought, I was like, nah, that's a bit too basic. And I really didn't like the new body style, so I passed on that one. Then I had settled on a brand new 2024 BMW M5 G90. Like I had my mind set on this one, bro. This was the one. But after really looking at it, I felt like it wasn't flashy enough and it would probably blend into traffic too easy. So that's when I decided to go with this bad boy, the brand new 2024 Tesla Cybertruck. Now hear me out. I know it's ugly. I mean, that's actually the point. It turns heads. People can't help but look at it. So that means when they see it, they'll see me. Get it? When I first stepped on campus, my personal brand was extremely low. I mean, nobody really knew who I was. But by the end of the season, I had well over 1 million followers and everybody knew my name. Coming into camp, I was the second receiver on the depth chart. But just like when I played the Independents, I knew that wouldn't last very long. Yeah, it was only a matter of time before the team belonged to me. Before the start of last season, I sat in my apartment at USC and I developed a plan to become a superstar. I wanted to be just like one of those athletes whose name outgrew the sport that they played. You know, like Muhammad Ali or MJ. Well, I knew just being myself wouldn't be enough. Nah, I needed to become someone else, someone bigger, someone unreachable. So that's when I created a character, B. Jones. See, B. Jones was cocky and confident like primetime Dion, Before the games, he'd be all business, but after the games, his press conferences were nothing short of amazing, regardless if the team won or lost. Yeah, my new B. Jones character, he was also flashy and flamboyant like Money Mayweather, dripped in designer, neck and wrist flooded with diamonds, and an ego larger than life. This dude B. Jones was a ladies' man too. I'm talking like Brad Pitt, Idris Elba, even Leo. It seemed like everywhere he went, he had a dime with him at all times. Movie premieres, nightclubs, concerts. If it was popping, B. Jones was in attendance, and he was the center of attention every time. Constantly being in that spotlight skyrocketed his brand as superstardom, as he was able to gain well over 5 million followers in only a few months. Of course, the newfound fame also came with massive NIL deals from some of the most recognizable brands in the world. Not only that, but the Trojans, they were actually good. I mean, midway through the season, they were ranked in the top 10 in college football, and B. Jones was the best wide receiver in the nation. Balance is oftentimes considered the key to a successful life, but a life without balance could potentially cost you your health, your wealth, and your happiness. Well, for the first 6 weeks of the season, I was able to balance my life off the field as a superstar and my life on the field as a college athlete pretty well. But it wouldn't be long before the two started to interfere with each other. We had a 2-week break during the season, so I decided to catch a flight back home to Kentucky to see my family and, just escape that LA lifestyle for a little bit. I never thought I'd be saying this, but I was actually starting to miss that cold weather. When I got to the crib though, the driveway was full of cars. My mom and my aunt told the whole damn neighborhood I was gonna be in town, so the house was full of people. Old friends and family that I had honestly forgotten about. They kept telling me all these stories and how they knew I was gonna be a star one day and basically how proud of me they were. I don't really know how to explain the feeling, but it was almost like I was larger than life. I mean, I was used to getting attention from strangers back in LA, but when it's people you actually know singing your praises, it hit a bit different. Anyways, I left there and went over to Brianna's crib to see my son, and honestly, that was the highlight of my trip. It was crazy to see just how fast he was growing. But look, the visit took a turn for the worse. Bri and I stepped aside to have a conversation, and I was completely caught off guard. She basically let me know that she was no longer happy with our co-parenting arrangement anymore, and she was gonna put me on child support. I was just trying to figure out where this all was coming from, but I quickly realized what it was about. All Bri kept saying was, I know you got hella bitches in LA and them bitches in LA. Like, that's all she was worried about. That's all she kept bringing up was the women she saw me with on social media. Me and Bri were never together, but apparently she was in her feelings for some reason. Believe it or not though, that was the last time seeing my son. Bri stopped answering my calls and FaceTime, and she even blocked my mom and my aunt's number too. If I'm being honest, that mid-season trip back home was the start of all my problems. I had to worry about Bri tripping, but I wasn't too concerned because I knew she would eventually come back around. She was just in her feelings. But the way my old friends and family were treating me made me feel like an even bigger superstar. I let that feeling go to my head, and well, when I got back to Cali, I turned everything up a notch. So we'll start with the women. I don't even remember half of their names, but I swear every night it was a new face at the crib. If she was an 8 or better, I had to get her. It got so bad that I started hitting 7s and even a couple of 3s, but they don't count because I was drunk. Well, me being reckless led to me getting this girl named Nicole pregnant. And the sad part about it is I don't even remember when it happened, but yeah, I got another baby on the way. And honestly, y'all the first people I'm telling this to. I still haven't built up enough courage to tell my mom or my aunt yet. Now, let's talk about the drinking. It was common for me to be passed out in a club on a weekday or sometimes even after a game. And apparently I was an angry drunk because more times than not, I would wake up in a holding cell with a massive headache. I guess I would start fights with the bouncers or just random people at the club. The cops would come and then I'd start tripping with them. I was in a bad spot in my life, but surprisingly, I was playing better than ever on the field. I was still the best receiver in college football and the team was still winning. But there was another problem. I never went to class, and before I knew it, I had become academically ineligible at the worst possible time, right before the conference championship game. I was so embarrassed that I didn't even travel with the team to the conference championship game. Instead, I just watched it at the crib. I'm pretty sure my coaches felt some type of way, but it was what it was. They ended up winning the championship game, and then we had our eyes set on the first round of the college football playoffs. But first, I caught a flight out to New York City for the college football awards. I was able to fly my mom, my aunt, and all my cousins out there. Brianna's trifling ass wouldn't let my son come out, but yeah, your boy ended up taking home the Blitnikoff Award for the best receiver in the country. I honestly felt like I should have been in that Heisman conversation, but I knew they wasn't going to let that happen considering I had just gotten suspended. We had a few weeks to get ready for the first round of the playoffs. The whole team was locked in. I had finally got my grades high enough to be eligible to rejoin the team. Well, listen, one night I was about to leave the library and head back to the crib, but that's when I got this text inviting me to this little shindig. I knew with our first playoff game being right around the corner, the team's curfew was being strictly enforced, and I should have just went home, but of course, I pulled up to the party. The picture you're seeing on your screen is the same picture that went viral on social media and eventually made its way to Sports Center, and of course, my coach seen it, and it was all downhill from there. That one split-second decision really ruined my career. My mom had been warning me about my behavior. She would always say, "Baby, they'll tolerate you until they can replace you." Well, the next thing I knew, I was in a meeting with the head coach and the head of player personnel, and they basically just let me know that I had become a distraction and I was no longer a part of the team. I'll be the first to admit that I got lost in the sauce. The money, the fame, the women, the fake friends, the alcohol, the headlines, the rumors. Yeah, it all became a bit too much and I ended up crashing out. So now I'm back here at square one. Look, I don't know what my next move should be because I think it's safe to say I've earned the reputation of being a problem off the field. So I'm sure not too many teams would be willing to take a chance on me. So I honestly don't know. I'm just going to take some time and figure out my life. I'll tap back in with y'all on the next one. The last time y'all saw me, I was in a bad spot. I had just gotten kicked off the team at USC and I had no idea what my next move was going to be. Well, a lot has changed since then and I think you'll be quite surprised by the way things turned out. You know, there's a quote that says you get what you focus on, so focus on what you want. Oftentimes, we get off track by chasing things that don't align with our goals. Well, I had to lock back in and get focused on what was truly important. After leaving LA and coming back to Kentucky, I could have easily got my own crib, but I knew I needed to be surrounded by my family. Man, I was getting killed online for getting kicked off the team right before the playoffs. Some of the hate was coming from the USC fans, which I understood, but then the rest of them was just trolls. They was telling me my career was over and to go ahead and put the fries in the bag. Well, I quickly realized you can't beat the internet, so I eventually just deleted my social media accounts completely. Of course, since I was back in town, the main thing I wanted to do was see my son, but Brianna was still tripping. Now, she did agree to meet me, but when she showed up, she was by herself. I'm like, bro, I didn't come to see you. But anyways, we ended up having a pretty productive conversation. She explained how she felt, and I honestly understood things from her point of view. I was away at Independence playing football for the majority of her pregnancy, so she was all alone. And then once she gave birth, I was in LA living a California dream while she was raising my son. When I looked at things from her perspective, I mean, who wouldn't feel a type of way? After the meeting with Bree, I pulled up to my high school to see my old football coach. I never had a dad, so honestly, he was the closest thing to a father figure. I knew since I was back in town, I had to go chop it up with him because whether I wanted to hear it or not, he was always gonna keep it real with me.
You know, Brandon, I'm amazed at how stupid you really are.
Man, come on, coach.
No, I'm serious. You need to be looked at by some specialists because you a special kind of stupid. I mean, for you to have that type of potential and throw it away is insane to me.
But I'm saying, coach, it wasn't even my fault.
Man, I don't care whose fault it is. All I know is that you went down there to them white people's institution and you showed your ass. Now you sitting here in my face looking stupid. Look, man, you only get so many opportunities in life and you already wasted 2 of them. Now you keep on keeping on and you gonna be right back here with me, poisoning the brains of our future leaders of this country. I'm going on home. Lucille done made weenies.
Once again, coach was absolutely right. I mean, I had lost my scholarship offer to Kentucky. Then I got the opportunity to go play at USC and got kicked off the team there. I have way too many people depending on me not to make it. I can't afford to fail. It was at that moment that I knew exactly what my next move was going to be. Northern Illinois University would be my next stop for my junior year. It's crazy. I really went from playing Juko football, then to the Big Ten, and now I would be playing in the MAC conference. But honestly, I think this was the right move. And shout out to my boy Nasir, man. He did a hell of a job recruiting me. But look, the NIU campus was cool. Now don't get me wrong, bro. I wouldn't say that it compares to USC or anything like that, but honestly, I think that's exactly what I needed, a small university. Yeah, I had to be real with myself and admit that I can't handle that party lifestyle. I need to be in a place where I can focus on school and football. Now they do got some pretty decent facilities there as well. I mean, everything is state of the art, a pretty nice sized gym to train in, plus they got an indoor and outdoor practice facility. But the one thing, the one thing that was hard to get used to, man, was my dorm room. I mean, my apartment at USC was like a penthouse compared to the room I had here at NIU, but of course, I made it work. Now, I wanted a complete fresh start when I got to NIU. Yeah, I was throwing the whole B. Jones character out the window, and unfortunately the Cybertruck had to go with it. I no longer wanted the extra attention off the field, so I had to let it go, but I mean, it was good while it lasted. But anyways, look, my boy Nasir had put on a lot of muscle, and honestly, I was low-key suspicious. Like, I thought my guy was juicing or something, but nah, he put me on game. See, he had been taking creatine and protein for the past few months, and my dog was on swole. So of course, I went and grabbed me some, and we both hit the gym together. Now, me and bro decided to arrive on campus about a month earlier than everybody else, so that way we could lock in and get in some extra work. Nasir is a DB, and obviously I'm a receiver, so of course, you know, we swapped secrets and shared a few pointers with each other. I'm telling you, bro, it was some amazing work. So by the time the season started, we was on point. My junior year in Northern Illinois was special, bro. I can't even lie. I mean, yeah, I know we didn't have the best season, but I made some lifelong friendships, and honestly, I feel like I got better as a player. After I got kicked off the team at USC, everybody wanted to know where I end up next, and honestly, the last place people expected was NIU. As a matter of fact, during our preseason press conference, that's all they wanted to know was, how did I end up there? But look, it really wasn't no partying while I was there. I mean, everybody was so locked in, and honestly, it wasn't no time for that. I mean, I spent all my free time in the weight room for real. And just the 1 year that I was there, I added on like 8 pounds of muscle, and I completely transformed my body. We finished the season 10-3 and ended up facing Troy University at the Camilla Bowl. Of course, I did my thing and put on the show, but we ended up losing by just 3 points. After the bowl game, I returned back to campus to pack up my dorm room. I'll be honest, bro, I felt, being real, bro, I felt kind of sad because that was officially the end of that chapter in my life. It was time to move on and focus on my future. Instead of going back to Kentucky to get ready for the NFL draft, I caught a flight to LA. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I could spend some time with Nicole. She was near the end of her pregnancy, and now that the season was over, I'd finally be able to go to a few doctor's appointments with her. See, Nicole is different, bro. I mean, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's like she's actually rooting for me, or she's on my side, like she want to see me win. So look, for example, as soon as I landed at LAX, she was there to pick me up. She had already made reservations to my favorite food spot, so of course, we went to go grab something to eat. After that, she took me to a room which she booked for me, a nice spot in the middle of the city too, and she got me a rental so I'll be able to move around while I was in town. Not only that, but she found this dope ass gym for me to train at so I can get ready for the draft. Now, I know to most of y'all that sounds like the bare minimum, but to me, it meant everything. But look, during the times that I wasn't with Nicole and her peoples or, in the gym training, I was ducked off at the spot I found that overlooks the whole city. I swear I sat out there for like 2 and 3 hours, really just thinking about how close I was to achieving my goals. After a few months in Cali, it was finally time for the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Now, I made it clear to everybody that I wasn't going through every drill. Nah, I agreed to run the 40, do the shuttle drill, and catch a few passes. That was it. But look, I knew my draft stock really depended on my 40 time, so quite honestly, that's all I was focused on. I took off quick as hell and got a perfect start. My form was smooth as butter, and I finished with the official time of 4.24, which gave me the second fastest 40 in the entire draft. Now, next up was the shuttle drill, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all, bro, I wasn't really locked in because after I got that 4.240, bro, I didn't give a damn about nothing else. I felt like my fate was sealed. So I think I ended up getting like a 4.22, which put me right inside the top 10. But anyways, man, it was what it was. The next drill up was the pass catching drill. So, I mean, of course, that's easy. They basically just had me run through a couple routes and catch the ball. If I'm being honest with y'all, it really seemed like a waste of time. I mean, considering they have 3 years of tape. So the whole time I was running my routes, I was thinking like, what do they expect to see by me catching a ball against no defense? But of course, I don't make the rules. Now, the final step in the draft combine was the interview process. Normally, most agents would have their client avoid this step, but for me, that wasn't the case. My agent felt like it would be a good idea for me to speak to the teams and show them my true colors, and not the B. Jones character I created while I was at SC. Well, that strategy proved to be successful because my draft stock shot up after the combine. Instead of flying out to New York for the draft, I decided to stay home and host my own draft party at my old high school. Hella people came out, like my old teachers, Friends, family, the local news, and ESPN was there. Surprisingly, I wasn't nervous at all though. I was just chilling the whole night, waiting for my phone to ring. The New York Jets ended up selecting me with the 11th overall pick. My dreams of making it to the league had finally come true. Before I knew it, I was on a private jet headed out to the team's facility to sign my contract. So now that you've seen what my life was like leading up to the NFL draft, I think it's time I give you a quick glimpse of how things have been going since I entered the league. Surprisingly, the majority of my time hasn't been spent playing football. Nah, it's actually been spent fulfilling these damn endorsement obligations. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm blessed to have the opportunity, but god damn, they take up a lot of time. I've done photo shoots and commercials and appearances for all the major brands, and you know what's crazy? All these opportunities I'm getting now really came from the brand I created at USC with my B. Jones character. But look, of course, I had to set aside some time to find a place to stay. And to my surprise, it was a lot easier than expected. I found this nice ass loft right in the middle of the city. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, entryway directly off the elevator, full kitchen of course, heated floors, fireplace, and it's right in the middle of downtown, so of course I got amazing views of Times Square. Not only that, but it also has a private garage in the basement of the building. Trying to find a place to park in downtown can be hell, so that comes in clutch. Speaking of houses though, I had always planned on buying my mom and my aunt a new crib once I made it to the league, but to my surprise, that's not what they wanted. The house that they live in now has been passed down through several generations and is completely paid off, so instead of moving out and erasing all that history, they just decided to have it remodeled instead. So that'll be my project this offseason, working on getting my childhood home completely upgraded. Now, unfortunately, things between me and Brianna haven't gotten any better. I mean, it seemed like it was headed in the right direction at one point, but once she found out about Nicole, all communication stopped. My agent received a letter from her attorney letting me know that she'll be pursuing child support. So now I'm in the process of dealing with all that, and no, I still haven't seen or even talked to my son. I mean, the whole situation is just pretty messed up, man. It's been a hell of a journey making it to this point. I mean, I really went through all the highs and lows that come with chasing your dreams. I started off at a small community college in Kansas playing Juko football. Now here I am in New York City playing for the Jets. It's crazy what you can accomplish with a little bit of talent and a lot of hard work. But look, I still haven't reached the finish line. Nah, there's still a long way to go and a lot of work that needs to be done. So enough talking. Let's get to it.